Hey everybody, it's Mike from GearHeads here. We have a very special episode for you today. We have a pickup shootout between Seymour Duncan Custom Custom and Jazz and a set of bare knuckle true grits, which I put in my Godan Freeway Classic from 2004. Let's do this. All right, big reveal time. A were the Seymour Duncans, and B were the Bare Knuckles. Did you get it right? Whether you did or not, put your answers or your guesses down below in the comments section and let me know what you thought. If you got it right and how you distinguished the two pickups, or just what you thought of the sound samples overall. Did you prefer the Duncans or did you prefer the Bare Knuckles? Right now we'll get to a quick rundown of the general differences that I noticed. So in terms of the neck pickup and the high gain lead tones, the bare knuckle True Grit neck pickup tracked extremely quickly. So as soon as I hit the note, it was a quick attack, not a lot of low end flub or push or spikiness. I think that's why a lot of people say certain pickups, bare knuckles especially, you have to be very careful because they really showcase any imperfections in your playing. So they're very unforgiving, as we say, in the guitar world. And I think that's one of those reasons, because it just tracks so quickly and it really showcases the details of your playing. So if you're not in time, if it's a little rough, it's going to really present itself as such. Where the Duncans, the Jazz neck pickup sounded really good as well. But again, it had that kind of low end, low mid spike and push to the note, which made it so it's more forgiving for someone like me who's not the best guitarist to begin with. So on to the bridge pickups. The bridge pickups, not a gigantic difference. I think the biggest difference was really noticeable in the high end, the low end, where the palm mutes on the Custom Custom were very low mid focused, which makes sense because the Custom Custom is just like all mid range with no bass and not a lot of treble. In the bare knuckles, the True Grit bridge was very thumpy in the low end, and the low end kind of came across with more clarity, but it didn't have the fullness in the mid range that the Custom Custom had. Also the tonal character, the Custom Custom, especially with that Alnoco 2 magnet, has a real sweetness and a softness to the tone. So the palm mutes, again, softer, not as crunchy, but the mid-range tonality is much sweeter, and it sounds really nice. The bare knuckle, much more even in the EQ. I would say, an equal dose of lows, mids, and treble. And the tonality of the mid-range and character of that pickup is very, as the name says, gritty, right? It's very gritty in the mid-range. It has a decent amount of power. It's kind of, in certain respects, it reminded me of like a lower output Duncan JB, but not near as compressed, a lot more character, and a much better pickup, at least for me, for my preferences. So I really like both bridge pickups quite a bit. It really just depends on, your personal taste, what kind of music you're going for, and most especially the pickup response. I think a lot of times online you'll see big YouTubers talking about how pickups don't really matter. Spectre Sound Studios, Glenn, for example, there's been a big uproar about pickups, right? Where now people think because in a studio environment you can get most any pickups to sound very similar, that pickups don't matter. And that's not the case. I don't even think Glenn would agree with that completely. I think Glenn is very correct in that you can get, not great pickups or any pickup to sound good in a mix. However, in terms of the small details, especially when you start adding other instruments and finding sonic space, for the different instruments. Those small details can really add up. Also, and probably most importantly, in my opinion, the reason for a pickup change would be the player feedback, right? So how the pickup responds to your playing is very important. As I mentioned earlier with the neck pickup especially, it tracked way faster. I felt like I needed to be more on the ball with that neck pickup for the bare knuckle as opposed to the Seymour Duncan. So, and how you sound to yourself also impacts, again, how you play, how much enjoyment you're having, right? If you don't sound good to yourself, then you're not going to play your best, right? You're not going to be as creative a lot of the time. So the pickup sound, the EQ, the tonality, the output and stuff, they all matter, right? They all have a place. They all can impact the final product in a mix, but not drastically. However, when it comes to performance and enjoyment and creativity, having a pickup set that you enjoy to your preference for the particular sound you're going for is extremely important, because as guitarists know, we're all very detail oriented, and the smallest thing can drive us crazy, right? You know, fractions of a millimeter on any component on the guitar can drastically impact how we feel about that instrument. So that's my little go there. Finally, the neck pickup. On the description, I just said it was the neck pickup split with the Godin single coil stock together. The first bit of those sound clips, however, for the neck cleans was full neck, and then I switched to split neck coupled with the Godin single coil, just to be clear. And I'm a little lazy to, go back and just change the text. So anyways, in terms of the clean tones, again, a similar story, right? The bare knuckle tracked much quicker. It also had more lower mid-range than the Seymour Duncan Jazz, which is a little more scooped in the mid. And I think overall the bare knuckle split a little nicer. It could be because it's a higher output and wind than the Duncan, so that probably helps a little bit as well. But it was much more clear, crisp sounding, especially when you split that humbucker, the neck one. So yeah, again, the biggest difference I'm going to say is analyzing the EQ curve and the recording was that the Seymour Duncan, even though that set is not as high output as the bare knuckles, they were much louder in the guitar at the same setup height, pickup height, which was very interesting. I attribute that in large part to the EQ, right? That custom is very mid-range. It's all mid-range. So it spikes a lot right when you attack the note. And the same goes for the neck pickup as well. There's just kind of like these low end, low frequency pushes at the beginning of the note, where the bare knuckles, a lot of that extra kind of flubby, unnecessary low frequencies are just gone, right? So a lot of people would attribute that to hand winding, because hand winding can really even out a lot of the low end frequencies that most guitarists don't really care for, although some do. So it's all personal preference. So yeah, I think that's about it. Again, put your comments down below on what you think about the pickup shootout, which ones you preferred. And this is Michael signing off from Gearheads, and I'll see you next time.